When I first started multi-threading, I thought about this idea of sewing. But when you think about it, like think about just individual strands, just like woven together, becoming strong into like a rope. I mean, if you could have that in your deals and make them more secure and the chances of them actually swinging into an actual opportunity, wouldn't you want to do that? Well, we're going to dive deeper into multi-threading today and get some practical example from a seller that's doing it. You're going to love this one. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we're bringing on a guest, Spencer. Spencer actually was in one of the classes that I taught at my alma mater, Brigham Young University, Idaho. Big shout out, BYUI. Now, Spencer is one of those individuals that soaks up all kinds of sales knowledge. He has a lot of experience, not only selling, but also just like an individual that just is a student of the art. Right now, he works for an amazing company called Awardco, and you can find information about Awardco down below. You can find Spencer's LinkedIn connection down below as well. Now, I brought Spencer on because he's doing some stuff with multi-threading that I think could benefit all of us as sellers. Like, we know that there are multiple individuals, there are multiple stakeholders. I did a post recently on how I lost a deal because I didn't bring the right people in the deal at the right time. I didn't multi-thread properly. And, for many of us, we may know what to do, and sometimes we don't do it. So listen to this episode. He shares a story in this episode that I think could really help all of us and give some unconventional ways to connect with people. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, please go ahead and connect with me, Donald C. Kelly, on LinkedIn. Also, subscribe to the show. We produce episodes that are going to help you to 3 to 5x your sales pipeline, or they're going to help you to close twice as many deals. Promise you, Scout's honor. Check out this episode. Take advantage of these sales principles, and let's apply it to our selling efforts and see if that can help you with what we promise. Check it out. Spencer, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Donald. Great to be here.
Oh, I'm pumped. I'm really looking forward to this conversation to get a chance to learn some of the things that you're doing, specifically around multi-threading. I bragged about you a little bit there in the teaser and what you're what makes you so amazing. But tell us a little bit more about what you do right now, man.
Yeah, so I am a senior tenured SDR for Awardco. Awardco is a SaaS company based out of Provo, Utah, and we're in the employee recognition incentive space, making employees feel good, make sure that companies feel even better. I've been doing that for close to 2 years now.
Congratulations on that, man. I know you guys are doing some pretty cool stuff. And if you're not following Spencer, I recommend you right now in the show notes, go click on his LinkedIn profile, follow him because he has shared some pretty cool stuff. One of those people who share good stuff on LinkedIn. Spencer, let's dive into this. We are talking about multi-threading because it's one of those, it's critical. Anyone that's selling nowadays, you're selling to at least 2, 3, 4, 5 stakeholders in that process. Those stakeholders are tenured individual. They've been through different sales cycles or sales buying journeys before. And, it's not, you can't just roll up on somebody and say, hey, I want to buy from you. I want you should, who else should we add to this deal? Or, it's just like some of those cheesy things that, that may not necessarily work when it comes towards really effectively multi-threading. So I want to just dive deep into your secrets, what you're doing, some of your strategies and tactics, and some stories and examples that can help a seller as she's listened to this episode today to be able to figure out how she can improve multi-threading. Sound fair enough?
Yeah, absolutely.
But go deep on that. Tell me, there's a surface level definition I gave it of multi-thread. What does that mean to you? What exactly is multi-threading?
Yeah, so the way that I define multi-threading is expanding your outreach away from your traditional personas, titles that you would target when prospecting, and normal decision makers. There is a larger scheme of decision makers, but also key internal champions you can build from other departments that can strengthen your case and strengthen your pipeline long-term to build credibility when it comes time for an account executive to have hopefully a closed deal.
Perfect. So the question now is how? I want to build pipe, Spencer. I got a list from my team, my focus accounts, and I'm just gonna put them outreach or whatnot, Apollo, and I'm just going to try to get some appointment.
Mhm.
Maybe that's the wrong thing to do.
Sure.
Can you guide me then when it comes to multi-threading? What should I do if I'm a BDR listening to this and trying to implement multi-threading?
Yeah, I think big thing number one, I'm going to use the example of Awardco. Obviously, big thing for us because we're in that rewards and recognition space. Human resources, everyone that's in there, they're my best friend. That's who we target 99.5% of the time. So for those
Mm.
of you that are listening, think about, who are you normally reaching out to? And, obviously, those people are traditionally, your main buyers and the main teams you're trying to build influence with. If I'm an SDR starting from scratch, looking to just improve pipeline and start multi-threading, you can start looking at a few different departments where you can build those internal brand champions. A really unique one that I believe is just as impactful is sales departments. Most sales leaders, SDRs, account executives, people are always looking to build pipeline of their own. Something that I've learned over the years is anytime I have somebody reach out to me on LinkedIn and they're like, hey, saw that you work for Awardco, curious about X, Y, and Z, 99% of the time they understand that I'm not a decision maker. I'm an SDR, but I believe that people in sales can look out for each other. We can be the internal champion and we can help strengthen a case and say, you know what? You probably know I'm not a decision maker. How about a meeting trade? I'm willing to learn about what you offer. In return, I'm going to pitch a ward code to you. Let's basically flip flop information. You can get me in front of X. I will get you in front of Y internally over here. At the end of the day, people in sales should be willing to help each other out. Ironically, I occasionally get people that when they reach out and they're like, hey, would love to meet about X, Y, and Z, and I offer that, they just ghost me. Don't understand it, but it's a free meeting for them, and I'm willing to bend over backwards. That's one aspect just to start with, where people in sales department, sales leaders, they're always looking to grow pipe, and this is a very unique way where everybody in sales is managing a quota. Because we're all managing a quota, it shouldn't be a universal idea or thought that we can't help each other gain the progress that we want internally with a company that we're targeting.
I totally agree on that. I love this idea. I think I've learned early on in my career that salespeople can give you, there could be some of your assets, I guess, a great wealth of knowledge, because again, they have that empathy for what you're doing in that process. So Spencer, let's go with this idea again. If I'm doing this more, if I am going to, if I'm, that's one strategy. Are there any other strategies that you implement when it comes towards like, multi-threading? Because I think this is a genius one.
Yeah, I believe an extremely underrated and unthought of idea for multi-threading is directly going to a finance department team. Generally,
Yeah.
most people that are vendor managers, they are directly overseeing, like, okay, who are our partners? Who are we contracted with for X, Y, and Z? They see day in and day out whether something is profitable or not. And the approach that I take with procurement teams, sourcing teams, buyers, vendor managers, so I'll go straight to them. And especially in Q3, Q4 right now, a lot of companies are opening up RFIs, requests for information,
Mm.
or an open bidding process like an RFP, where they're looking to basically say, this is where we're at right now, but we are very open to looking into other vendors. Here's the information that we're looking for, X, Y, and Z. Even when you go through the sales process with your traditional personas, for us, it's in HR. At the end of the day, a finance team still has to approve everything at the end of the day. If you can get intrigue out of a finance team, or specifically a vendor manager, someone that is directly overseeing the numbers of is this profitable or not, then that opens up the world of, hey, Spencer reached out to us regarding this. I'm going to connect you with our C-suite member that is over these programs, because we do have a real problem and a real challenge here. I feel like that's something that not a lot of people think of. I learned a lot of that through enterprise experience, working larger accounts, but definitely something that's very beneficial.
All right, Spencer, I like this. What are you saying as you're reaching out? Because I imagine what I've seen when folks are multi-threading, they try to use the same exact message with one individual. Like and they just try to blanket that across. I call it lazy selling. What do you do? What do you say as you're trying to, when you're reaching out to finance, or if it's, I heard what you say you're bringing out to sellers, and obviously what you're probably bringing out to HR people are probably different. What do you say? How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, great question. I think a big thing is, number one, you have to understand the realm and the lingo in the world that other departments live in if you want to try and prospect into them. Because the same jargon and keywords and key phrases that we throw around when we're talking to people in HR every day is nowhere near the same stuff that's relevant to a finance team. To a finance team, they're looking at profitability. They're looking at saving money, cost cutting, ROI. They're looking at numbers mean more to them than we do X, Y, and Z. So for them people on the sales side of things, we look at, let's help you increase engagement, which can then in turn improve revenue, and etc. It's ultimately learning where your buyer is, how they think in their own department, because it's not going to be effective at all if you just try and do the same cookie cutter approach with every other department, when half the time that outreach isn't going to be relevant to begin with.
Love it. Yeah, I just put a little note down going back to that notion. I remember several examples I've had where I was sending out, or I received on the receiving side, these emails, and it's literally, you can take and copy and paste, and it's almost like the same as like another one. And then somebody else in my company received that same email, and I'm just like, bro, you totally missed the point. Like, if you're going to reach out to her, probably tweak it a little bit different. That piques her interest, because it has to be relevant. And I think that's a major mistake. What do you do to make sure you're not stepping on toes, though? Because I know some folks, they go about multi-threading, and then it seems like they're going around just stepping on toes, and no one really knows. Like, there's no set like reason. They go back to the leader and say, yeah, multi-thread, but I didn't get anywhere with the deal. Talk to me about that. How do you navigate that component?
Yeah, I think a big thing is keeping everything separate throughout the week. A big thing that you want to avoid in sales is the dreaded spam filters. Happens all the time, everywhere. We all hate getting like that postmaster undeliverable email. And a big thing is, if you're going to take the approach, I'm going to reach out to 4 departments at this one company today. That company is going to get probably triggered and spammed, and there's going to be a lot of privacy and security features that are going to pop up and say, this one email address has sent half the company an email. Ultimately, it's just going to slow down your prospecting. You don't get anywhere ultimately with that. I think that a big thing is just keeping everything separate. So if that means I'm going to focus on one department Monday, I'm going to focus on finance on Tuesdays and Thursdays, sales or marketing department or whatever, C-suite's going to be Wednesdays. I think it's really important to keep things fresh and unique as well, because you don't know who you're going to catch out of the office and who's in the office ultimately at the end of the day, and you don't want to trigger those spam filters to begin with.
How do you keep it fresh?
Yeah. Oh man, I think looking at who are the key decision makers in each department. Mm-hmm. Let's add them into a specific cadence that's not going to be automated. Yeah. Let's make that personalized and unique. That way their touch points are nowhere near the same as a lower level member on that team to begin with. There's a big difference between sending out a personalized approach or calling someone after strategically researching them that's a C-suite decision maker versus a generalist or your basic entry-level employee. Should not be the same. And that's a big thing that I do to just keep things unique and fresh.
So good, man. Do you have any stories, any examples, Spencer, where you put all this together and how it led to you building Pipe or led to some opportunities for you?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell names. I know it's you probably can't go into names, but
sure. No, I can definitely think of a couple. I spent my first year here at Awardco on the enterprise team, was able to learn from a phenomenal rep. Her name's Erica Hunt. Absolutely phenomenal account executive over here. And there was an account that we were working that was very, very large, global. And because they were a global account in the enterprise space, it was very, very difficult to find the true decision maker when you have hundreds of thousands of employees in what seems to be 10 plus countries. Through multi-threading. And I think that sales is a little bit of luck as well, or it's a lot of luck and sometimes just really good timing. I had no shot finding the key decision maker at the end of the day, wasn't getting the results or even just the engagement that I was looking for on emails or calls. And I took the approach through finance, and I was just like, is this a relevant conversation regarding employee recognition, retention, engagement, anything like this? And I was able to get a procurement specialist just to get back to me and say, hey, Spencer, this is extremely relevant right now. We actually have an RFP that we're going to be going into here shortly. This is the decision maker that you would want to reach out to, who I didn't even know existed. So I was basically just calling, emailing in the dark the entire time. And yeah, a little bit of luck, but that's where multi-threading absolutely paid off. Very large account, very reputable name. And ultimately we were able to make a lot of ground and still are slowly making a lot of ground with them to this day.
One of the things I love about that, Spencer, is you practice what you preached, and for many of us, like as sellers, we think there's only our habits indicate that we do like one approach, one way to get in. But like you said, go to these different avenues and trying these different processes. I had a sales trainer that always said, like, who once taught me that, like, there's no such thing as luck. Is only the luck is when opportunity meets hard work. And you are doing all of the real, like, I wouldn't say just hard, those smart work. You're hitting those right departments, right? And because you did that, you practiced that habit. The opportunities came from that. If I'm just going to HR, I probably would not have made that approach, that opportunity. You probably wouldn't have made that. So that was really good on that. Love it, man. Spencer, as we're getting ready to wrap up here, there's a sales leader listening to this. He's thinking, man, yeah, I need to help my team to be more effective, my BDRs or even my AEs to be more effective at multi-threading. What piece of advice would you give them? Or if it's an AE listening to this and he's thinking, I want to do a better job at doing multi-threading, I don't know where to start. What would you tell him to do to start today?
Yeah, great question, Donald. I would say start small. If you're an account executive or an SDR, you most likely already do understand the one main department you are reaching out to begin with. You already understand that persona. You already understand that team that you're generally trying to reach out to. Start with one department outside of who you would normally reach out to. If that's sales, learn about, okay, in my industry, what are key terms and words where I can make this relevant for a sales leader? If it's finance, if it's marketing, C-suite, IT, whatever, start small, start with one different department, do your research, go follow people on LinkedIn that are specifically specialists over departments like that. Go and learn from them, read their posts, Google, and just find relevant information where you can slowly start piecing together a cadence to prospect effectively and properly into at least one extra department than from what you're normally reaching out to.
Oh man, so good. Love this, man. Spencer, if there's somebody listening to this and they're like, man, I'm a leader and I want to learn about a workout, or maybe they're a seller and they're like, this stuff sounds dope, I want to be able to learn about word code. Or if there's just somebody just listening to the show and they're like, the Spencer guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about, it'd be cool to connect with him on LinkedIn. What's the best way for them to go about connecting with you?
Yep. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and then I'm completely happy to drop my phone number as well. Send me a text. People in sales always, we call mobiles all the time. I'm used to it at this point, 208-904-8448, but always happy to connect and chat. Always happy to help and be a resource.
Oh my goodness. Love this, man. Spencer, thanks for coming on the show today. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, and keep shining, man.
Hey, thank you, my friend.
Hey, that was Spencer. If you haven't connected with Spencer as of yet, please go ahead and tell him that you found him here on the Sales Evangelist Podcast. You can find his LinkedIn contact details below, and check out Awardco, man. It's pretty cool stuff what they're doing. And for many of us, employee retention and employee satisfaction right now is at a high. Let's back up. That achieving high employee satisfaction and high employee retention is at a high. People want to keep their employees these days more so than ever. It's hard to find great people. So show them you love them, show them you care for them. Go ahead and check out our sponsors as well. They have some amazing deals and offers down below that can best help you improve your sales game. I promise you, again, I use these things. Now, all of you are trying to do these. You're trying to build pipeline. You're trying to close deals. You got to not only listen to the things you heard, but apply them. Also, check out our LinkedIn prospecting course. We have that down below as well. We give you everything you need so you can book at least 3 to 5 appointments per week on LinkedIn without spamming people. Good people on LinkedIn want to chat with you and connect. They don't want to be spam. And we will show you what we're doing to help with that. Find the details below. Connect with Spencer. As always, we want to help you to 3 to 5x your sales pipeline. We want you to raise your level of thinking, close twice as many deals, but most importantly, go out and do big things. Thanks so much for watching.